Do your little hand, tell me where to go. Hey guys, my name's Collin. This is my first video. If you know Jesse Hart, he has the same thing. We kind of said that we just start some videos to see how it worked, to see, you know, to try to get the word out to people over, not just at our own town, but throughout the world. Hopefully y'all subscribe, y'all like, it doesn't matter. I'm just doing this for God. But how my first video is gonna go is, the best way I thought of it is just, I'm gonna give my testimony. That's the best thing I can think of right now. Alright, so like I said, my name is Collin Bamburg. I live in Louisiana, from Caldwell Parish. I'm friends with Jesse. A lot of people know him. I was born August 31st, 1998 in Charleston, South Carolina. I've only lived there for my young part of my childhood, but that's a lot that's happened in my life, a lot that's changed me and made it hard on my life. I was born August 31st, 1998. My dad and my mom lived there. That's when they raised me. My mom's name is Jamie, and we lived there. I lived there till I was about, I want to say, the 5th grade. But parents had steady jobs and all that, and I wasn't raised in Christianity. My parents wasn't Christian. I wasn't forced to go to church, but I did go to church just for like what usually people do, just get away, get for friends, like just get out of the house. That's what I went to church for. I didn't really know God, so I didn't go for that meaning. I just went for friends. But a big part of my life happened in South Carolina. I was well, one day I was in South Carolina, or God, it's hard. Well, I was in a good school, and I was in a good school. My parent, we lived in a good neighborhood, and a well-known neighborhood. Well, one day, both my parents was out, and they was at work. They was doing their thing, and well, my dad had a friend that had a son that was well older than me, and they had all what every kid wanted. They had Xbox. They had it was old, so they had like GameCubes and stuff, and that's what I loved. So I mean, every time my parents would be home or away at work, I just go over and I just play. Well, one day I was just playing and just minding my own business, and probably the worst thing that could ever happen to a child happened. I was raped at the age of 6, and that changed. And I remember praying to God as it was happening. I was praying that it would stop, and it never stopped. It just kept happening. So at that point in my life, I didn't believe. I mean, I hated God. I cussed God, and at that point, there was no way I was believing in. Well, after that happened, I was wrecked for months. I was petrified. I was scared of telling anybody of how I'd be judged, who all would find out. And until I told one of my friends, and he told his dad, which was a friend with my dad. He worked with them, and when my dad found out, I thought he was gonna go to jail for killing him. See, my dad, I mean, I love my dad. He ain't the best man in the world, but he raised me good. So I thought he was gonna kill him, and so all that was over with. We put that dude away. We had Like, that dude was out of my life. So as I went on in my life, my parents had good jobs. I was in a good school, but my parents, they wasn't on the good path, and it caused me not to be on the good path. They was on drugs, not on hard drugs that I know of, but they both smoked weed. They did that. Well, I remember them always telling me to go to my room. They was always telling me to go to my room, and I knew what they was doing. So one day I was just like, y'all know what? I'm tired of it, because I hated just going to my room for that. I was like, I don't even care anymore. I know what y'all are doing. I'm not stupid. So they started doing it in front of me. So as that point went on, I mean, I knew what drugs was. I knew all that, but I never did it. And one day, my dad was on a fencing job, and I mean, business just went bad. So he moved to Louisiana, while me and my mom and my sister stayed in They was both addicted to drugs, and I mean, they wasn't on the good path. So my dad moved to Louisiana for a new job, while me and my mom and my sister stayed back. And around that time, I found out that my dad wasn't my real dad. Like, my mom got with him when I was about 1 or 2, somewhere around there. And I was just like, I mean, it really didn't affect me, because I knew that's like my dad that raised me. I knew he was my dad. He raised me, and I was around 7 at this, or no, I was around 8. I want to say, yeah, I was around 8. So I knew he was my dad. He raised me. I didn't care what it was, and I mean, that was that. So my dad moved to Louisiana. He worked there for a couple months, and we finally moved to Louisiana. I moved to Caldwell Parish in the 5th grade. I remember there, when I first got there, I was still didn't believe in God. I wouldn't say I was an atheist, because you know how everybody says if they don't believe they're an atheist, but you're not really smart enough to be an atheist. Yet, but I didn't know God how I wanted to know him. Well, I met friends there. My first friend I've ever met was Rico Wilford. I remember at first during elementary school in 5th grade, he wasn't the biggest Christian, but as we got on, he started becoming strong, and I started to notice. Well, I never really got onto it. Well, elementary passed. Dad was still at that job, so we got to junior high. That's when I started becoming really, really, really bad. I started getting older, started experiencing things, started getting addicted to pornography. I was just going off. Well, I got with some wrong friends, and I started stealing from my parents. I started doing drugs. And I'm not I started smoking weed, started stealing pills, and smoking cigarettes, just bad, and drinking. Well, my parents never knew that. So, I mean, but that was just a short period of time. Well, it was through my 7th grade year, all that passed, and I was just so lost at that moment. I just needed a hope. I was wrecked. My parents always fought. I mean, it was just disastrous. Well, my Rico was still my friend. He was still strong. He was still my close friend. Well, he got really, really big into Christianity, and he started bringing his Bible, and I started noticing. Well, halfway through my 8th grade year, it was spring. I went to his church for a week. Well, the next week they had an Ignite, and I met youth pastor Joshua Love, and his brother-in-law Colby Schultz, and I started getting close with them. Well, I got saved. I gave my life to God my spring of my 8th grade year. Well, I started trying to do what Rico did. I brought my Bible. I tried to stop cussing. It took some time. Well, 8th grade year passed, got to 9th grade. I was on fire. I was so on fire for God. I wanted to pray for everybody in the world. I changed from doing drugs to stealing from my own parents that were doing drugs to on fire for God. Didn't if you heard a cuss word out of me, you was shocked. You was, whoa, did he really just cuss? So I was on fire. Well, I mean, I know I've messed up. I know people messed up. At the end of my freshman year, that's when I messed up. Like, I kind of got off from church, and got back. And as soon as I got back, I was right back on fire. And Josh and them cared about me, and they just, when I first went to their church, they showed me so much love, like, that I've never experienced. Especially, like, I mean, I hate to say it, I mean, I love my parents to death, but they showed me love that my parents had never showed me. I mean, they showed me that they cared and that they wanted something more than just go to church. They wanted to be a part of your life. They wanted to share experiences, and that's the main thing that caught me. Well, I just got close. It got to my beginning of my sophomore year, and I went through my sophomore year. And my sophomore year was kind of hard. My parents, my mom got bad on drugs, and my dad couldn't stand her. I mean, they did not love each other. They hated each other. My mom got really bad off of drugs. So I want to say the October of my sophomore year, my mom went to rehab. Fine, thank God she went to rehab. Well, my dad decided that it was best for him to leave, and I understood. He had to do, but he wasn't my real dad. So he couldn't take me. And my mom was in rehab, and when she got out of rehab, she didn't have a place to live, so she had to live with my grandparents, and that was not the best thing for me. And I knew that. So I went up to Josh, and I went up to Colby, and I asked them. I told them my situation, and they knew it. So they took me in, and that was the biggest thing that's ever happened to me. They took me in. Well, my mom got out of rehab, and she depressed. I mean, it hit her hard. That's all she did, and to be honest, I hated her. I hated her. I was a punk. I was disrespectful. I was the worst that you could be to her, because she tore this family apart. I had in my mind that she tore this family apart. That she pushed my dad away. That she made him move to another state to not be able to be here because we didn't have no money. We didn't have anything. And it got under my skin so bad that, I didn't want to be around her when she got out of rehab. And she said that she needed me to come over. I would dread going over there. I hated it. Every time I went over there, we would have an argument. It was like we was at each other's throats, and I hated it. So Josh and them took me in, and my mom couldn't find a job here because when she was on drugs, she stole, she lost every job, and she couldn't find a good one. So she moved to my hometown, South Carolina, and she wanted me to go, and I told her no because I did not want to live with her. So she had the respect out of me to sign custody over to Josh, so Josh would be my legal guardian. So I lived with him. Through the about 2 years now, and a couple months back, my mom just moved back to Louisiana because she wanted to be a part of my life finally. Josh preached on a message about having a Jonah, about Jonah being in a boat and weighing you in and you being able to walk forward. Well, my Jonah was I couldn't get rid of friends. Friends were dragging me down. I wanted to party. I wanted to be a part of that. So I partied, and I partied and I've had sex, and I've took advantage of girls, and I got off of that path. Well, once we went to Bay City, that's probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me too. Josh just talked about having a Jonah, about having him weighing you down, and I'm working with my friends. I'm working on trying to pull them in. But I had another Jonah. I couldn't forgive my mom. I hated her so much. She tore. She ruined my life. But I can't move on until I forgive her. So, Mom, I know you're gonna watch this because I'm gonna make you watch this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Paige. I love you, Mom. You tried. I know you tried. You've moved back here just to be a part of my senior year. And I know you're trying. And I want to know that I'm so thankful, Mom. I love you so much. I just have to forgive you before I move on. This is my senior year, and after this, I have to give it all to God, and I have to go into my senior year giving it to God. I can't do it without Him. This is my testimony.